Welcome to the Sports Sit-Down. We hope you're doing well and we're having a safe and sound 2021. We're here to talk about the NFL playoffs and some recent trade news that's happened in the NBA. So with me today to talk about that is Kiran Costa, Nate Martin, CJ Roulo, and I'm Sunay Sanghani. Guys, hope you're doing well. Let's get right to it. Divisional round starts today, right now, in an hour actually. So we're trying to squeeze in our predictions before. So last time when we did our bracket, it didn't go that great. We were partially expecting that. I remember both Kieran, Nate, CJ, and I, all four of us said there's going to be an upset and we're going to get our brackets wrong. And there were two upsets, not just one in the first round. So this is a bracket we did for last episode. And we got it partially correct. But there was one big one we missed. And this is the upset of the, I guess you can call it upset of the year, Browns-Steelers. In that AFC battle. So this kind of switches our bracket around a little bit. We'll not show you guys this one because now the whole matchups change, everything changes. But we got the NFC pretty correct for the most part. Some of us picked the Rams, some of us picked the Seahawks. So that also changes around. But let's start with the first match of the day, guys. And that's the Green Bay Packers and the LA Rams. Here are the stats for them side by side when you compare them per Bleacher Report. I'm just going to ask straight up, who do you guys think is going to take this one? There's two different teams. I'll just keep it at that. And you can see right away with the stat sheet. Two very different teams.
It's the number one defense versus the number one offense, basically. And you know what they say? Defense wins championships. Defense wins games. I'm going with the Rams. I think Aaron Donald is going to get a lot of pressure with going up against a second-string tackle. I mean, no first-string tackles. I don't think Bakhtiari could have handled Aaron Donald, let alone this second-string tackle that Green Bay is playing. I'm taking the Rams, and I think Goff and the offense is going to be able to keep up. We saw that last week. They put up 30 points. And, Cam Akers looked really good. I think Cam Akers is going to have a monster game at Lambeau.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And here's the problem with the Rams that I'm very worried about. Like, we saw them lose to the Jets, and then we saw them beat the Seahawks. The lack of consistency from that team makes them so hard to predict. But I'm a rock with the favorites. I'm a rock with Green Bay, number one seed, coming off a bye. I think Rodgers in the offense, yes, they're going to get pressure to him, but I think we're going to see a lot of short throws to Aaron Jones out of the backfield, a lot of quick throws to Big Bob Tonyan, the tight end. I think the Packers will come out on top. I honestly like the Packers defense a little more than I like the Rams offense, especially with Cooper Kupp out and injured.
And I have to be straight here. Even though I do part own the Packers, can't really let myself be biased too much, which means I will be totally biased. Last 6 games, Packers, they won all 6. They beat the Bears twice, and they beat the Titans, all of whom made the playoffs. And I don't think not only Cooper Kupp being out isn't gonna help the Rams, but Goff has to step up. Basically, you play your wild card game against the Seahawks. They played them at that point 3 times. They win that one. Now they're going to Lambeau, and we know Lambeau in the playoffs, even without fans, is still pretty crazy. And the Packers are going to make sure that it's going to be as brutal as possible for the Rams. I just don't really think that Goff's really going to be able to do it again because now you're on the road for 2 weeks. Now, they were. Wait. Were they in LA last week or were they at Seattle?
They're at Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Okay, so you've just spent 2 weeks on the road. It's like, great. Now I got to do it all over again. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'm taking the Packers.
Nate, one more thing. Jared Goff in cold weather has never been a good combination.
Obviously, but
throughout his career. It's 34 degrees at Lambeau.
I expect Cam Akers to have his coming out party for the NFL. I think he's going to have a monster game. And
that was last week, though.
He played very well last week, and I think he's going to really nail it in this week. Because we saw the last time the Packers played last time the Packers played in the playoffs, they gave up 200-something yards to Raheem Mostert. And, their number one option on offense, Devontae Adams, is being matched up against Jalen Ramsey, who is known for locking down the top receivers in the NFL. I mean, we saw what he did against DK. We saw what he's done against Thielen and a bunch of other great receivers, And I can't go against this defense. This defense has been insane. And, I'm rocking with the Rams.
Here's how I can see the Rams winning. First play of the game, Jared Goff goes down with injury. Who comes in? Blake Bortles, greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the playoffs. He leads them to victory. Goff can't do it, but Bortles can.
Blake Bortles almost beat the Belichick Patriots with Brady. So.
Yeah, Blake Bortles is a good quarterback. I don't think it matters who's at quarterbacks. I'm telling you, I might be the most anti-Jared Goff person. I'm go as far to say that Blake Bortles and Jared Goff is basically the same quarterback. That's how far I'll go and say. The Packers are not playing against Jared Goff or Cam Akers. The Packers are playing against Sean McVay. Sean McVay just needs help because he's, he obviously can't, he's not on the field and stuff, but he single-handedly beat the Seattle Seahawks last week. Jared Goff has a broken thumb. That's a known fact. His thumb is not going to be. He had surgery 2 weeks ago, and kudos to him for playing. That's a heroic performance. Great job for Jared Goff. I'll go out and I'll even say I have my money on Devontae Adams to do better than DK and other receivers have done against Jalen Ramsey. I think Devontae Adams is in a different league compared to DK Metcalf. No disrespect. Devontae Adams route running, his release, and also Mike LaFleur. He's going to scheme him to get open. Seattle last week basically had no plan. I thought it was just it was kind of like what the Steelers did against the Browns, where they were just saying, okay, Russell Wilson, you have the ball, go do something special for us. We're not going to help you out at all. The run game was awful. The pass, I thought some of the calls, play action calls, and some of the pass calls that they made from Brian Schottenheimer, who was fired deservedly so, in my opinion, were completely awful. And I think that helps the Rams so much. So I'll help CJ's portfolio out, and I'll say Green Bay takes this one. And
actually, to add on to that too, 35 degrees right now in Green Bay with about 13-mile-an-hour winds. So great, cold, windy, and about a 20% chance of snow on top of everything else.
But the Rams play CenturyLink is also one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, even without fans. I mean, that Seattle wind, that Puget Sound rain, even though it wasn't there last week, it wasn't. I acknowledge that, Kieran. I said, but it was cold. It was a cold game because it's Seattle in January. All right. The Rams have gone into one of the toughest places to play, and now they're going into another one of the toughest places to play. They fought for so much adversity this season. You got to rock with the Rams.
I still think I think it's going to be a close game, but I just cannot pick Jared Goff to go into Lamb. I think he has to have a perfect game today.
I think all of us that are picking the Packers are going to give that it's going to be a close game. I don't doubt that at all. And if the Rams are on, like we saw against the Seahawks, they have a shot to win this game. But I think every single thing has to go right for them to win this game, and I don't think that's going to happen.
One thing to consider, though, is that the Packers are coming off of a bye week, which I think helps the Rams because the Packers have had a week off of play. So that is the first game. I think this is one of the best games of the weekend. Every game seems really good, but this especially. So next one is Ravens-Bills, 5:15 Sunday Night Football. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 2018 NFL Draft Class quarterbacks. The Bills almost lost last week, and the Ravens basically got rid of the Lamar Jackson can't win a playoff game notion last week. So as you can see the stats, again, two different teams. One's a passing team, one's a running team. Kieran, who do you have winning this one?
I want the Bills, and I want the Bills. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't love either of the defenses, given the Ravens have a better defense. But I mean, the Bills have just looked so electrifying down the stretch. They're the hottest team coming into the playoffs. I mean, they didn't look great against the Colts last week, but I think Josh Allen's found his playoff rhythm. I want the Bills in a shootout.
I think the main thing about the Bills that are so alluring about them is that they're having so much fun. I think they've had the most fun out of anyone this year. And it's kind of a childish thing to say, but like fun makes you play well. If you're having a great time, you're going to play well on the field. And it's been showing the last couple of weeks. Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. Stephon Diggs is probably, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL right now. Maybe Devontae Adams. I think it's a toss-up between those two. And I think the Bills defense found some rhythm last week. There was a couple drives where they looked spotty, but I think they found some rhythm. And if they can carry that over against Baltimore, then I'm taking the Bills are going to win.
Just kind of interesting. I just saw this. Mark Ingram once again going to be a healthy scratch for Baltimore, and given he is 31, he is getting up there in age, but that's a running attack right there. That's going to hurt. Honestly, if you don't have him, that's another piece because Lamar Jackson can only run so much, and we know that dual threat quarterbacks, especially when you get to the NFL, are a definite liability. We've seen. Mahomes has gotten away with it for a while, but even he's mostly a passing quarterback because that's what you have to do in the Big 12. We saw like Newton was good for about 4 years and then just it faded. And I don't know if they are the number 1 running team and you don't even have your best running back in for this game, which is one of their biggest ones in I'd say about 5 years. Is that a sign of a team that's really confident, or is that a sign of a team who's looking at maybe trying to get another year out of them? I don't really know. I'm thinking the Bills because they're just. Honestly, it's like they're not sitting anybody. Everyone's ready. I just think they're just going to do better.
You did say that their best running back is out. I think Ingram's the 3rd best running back on that team after Dobbins and Jackson. So,
yeah, I think it's Dobbins I think Dobbins won that spot, and I don't dislike the call to healthy scratch Ingram.
Gus Edwards has been looking good the last.
Edwards has been good too.
Yeah, I think he's the 4th, but Ingram's the 4th best running back.
He's a little bit washed right now, Ingram, especially with those injuries.
I'm totally showing how much I follow the NFL at this point.
So I think it's a great point that the Bills are having fun. And, when you said that, Nate, I was thinking about the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. I have to go back to the Super Bowl team that won. And my first point that I was going to make was the Bills last week basically lost, if you think about it. Josh Allen fumbled in the 4th quarter that they luckily recovered. That the Colts missed a field goal and that 4th and 2 conversion. Bad play calls by Frank Reich, bad decisions by Frank Reich. I thought the Colts won the fight last game against the Bills. But then I had a flashback to 2017 with Philadelphia when they were that Super Bowl team. And it was the same way like the Bills. They were having fun the whole year. They were really good the whole year. Good defense, good electric offense, really deep. But I remember the first game against the Atlanta Falcons, it seemed like the Falcons won the fight against the Eagles in that divisional round. That game came down to the 2-yard line. I think it's the same way. I think it's actually kind of good that the Buffalo Bills got a scare a little bit and that because I think now they're going to come locked in and they're going to be ready to go. I have to pick the Bills. Lamar Jackson, I just feel bad for him, man. Like, these are just tough games. Even if he wins this one, next week is going to be another tough match against Kansas City. I feel bad for him. He deserves better, but I have to go with Buffalo Bills and maybe next year Lamar. And also one thing I'll point out, it did seem like this year the Ravens seemed like the best constructed team that they've had in years. Calais Campbell, that defensive line, Yannick Ngakoue, just amazing. So next game number 3 is the Browns and the Chiefs. This is a game that we might disagree on, and I hope someone picks the Browns. But anyways, CJ, who do you have winning this one?
I mean, I'm looking at the Chiefs right now, actually. Sammy Watkins apparently going to be out with a calf injury. Sucks. Man, I don't even really know, man. The Browns really surprised me. I mean, they beat the Steelers, who started off the years. No, for certain, they were the hottest team in the NFL. And
Do it. Say it.
That's
Say the Browns are
pretty...
beating the Chiefs. Say it.
Please say it.
Hot take.
Because
Browns...
Sammy Watkins is out. Is that your kicker?
Hey, hot take. Due to Sammy Watkins being out, the Browns will beat Chiefs at Arrowhead by double digits.
They're double digits.
All right. So here's my problem with that. Sammy Watkins is the third best receiver on the team. If you're missing your third best receiver, what's that going to do? I mean, they have a really deep receiver group. If that's your main concern with the Chiefs, if that's your main concern with the Chiefs, then I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if that's what you believe. I think, as you can see, we're looking at the injuries right now. Edwards-Helaire, obviously questionable. That's big. But besides that,
Willie Gay, that's a big one too.
Willie Gay, yeah, that's fair. But I think, going back to that receiver room, Demarcus Robinson can step up. Mecole Hardman can step up. Travis Kelce was the best receiver in the NFL this year. I take my mind back on Stephon Diggs. Travis Kelce was the best receiver in the NFL. And then obviously Tyreek Hill. Cheetah. I mean, how is Denzel Ward going to stop the fastest receiver in the league? I'm taking the Chiefs. Easy.
Chiefs by double digits. I mean, I don't think this is a huge conversation. I mean, the Chiefs don't have a great... Okay, the Browns jumped out to a lead against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they could run the ball, which is how they want to run their offense. They're going to be trailing a lot of this game, and Baker Mayfield is going to have to make passes.
That's where I disagree. That's where I disagree, because I think the Browns are going to get off to another hot start. I think the Browns are going to get off to another hot start.
Do you guys remember last year's AFC divisional against the Titans and the Chiefs?
Yeah, they were down double digits every single game of last year's playoffs, right?
So we're acknowledging that the Kansas City Chiefs have had a cold start for the last postseason, and they've been a cold start for the last couple games as well.
On top of that, I have two facts on top of that. One, they've basically won their last, even though they've been on this hot streak. Aside from week 17 doesn't count because Mahomes wasn't playing, but before that, they went on a big win streak. They didn't win a single game by double digits. They had to had to fend off the other team in the fourth quarter or had to come back. Second fact, Mahomes hasn't played for 3 weeks. So if they come off a cold start, even regardless of Mahomes playing the last week and even them playing through, last in the playoffs last year, even in Mahomes, and they were still having a cold start, how cold of a start is it going to be this time when he hasn't played in 3 weeks? So I'm going to keep my foot in both takes here. I think the Cleveland Browns may not be a winner, but I think they're definitely going to jump out to a lead in this one.
Kansas City by 6. That's what I'm saying. I think Mahomes is going to throw like 2 or 3 interceptions, maybe probably 2 interceptions. I mean,
I want KC by 10.
Browns defense. Yeah. All right.
And to go back to what we said about the Rams and Packers, I don't know who it was. Someone said, I think it was Kieran. Kieran said that Rams have to be perfect against Packers, and I don't think that's going to happen. I'll actually argue that for this Cleveland game. I think Cleveland has to be perfect, and I'm not so sure that's going to be happening. You cannot drop an interception. Remember, Nate, you said a couple shows ago, I remember that Patrick Mahomes had the most dropped interceptions. Is that
NFL history?
And so you cannot drop any interceptions. You have to make the correct reads, no missed tackles, none of that. You have to be perfect against this team.
Stefanski's back there, right?
Huh?
Stefanski's back?
He is back. He will be on the sidelines. And again, I don't think CJ's – there are a lot of people picking the Browns. The last 9 losses for the Kansas City Chiefs, the teams average 35 minutes time of possession, which the Browns can do, and they average over 235 rush yards a game, which the Browns can do. So not crazy. Just going to throw that out there. I don't think CJ's alone in picking the Browns, but I can't do that, and I think Nate and Kieran are with me. So that will probably take us to our last game, and That's the Buccaneers and the Saints. They played each other twice. They're divisional rivals. Tampa Bay has gotten blown out both times, basically, and in shocking fashion. Let's start out with Nate on this one. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Who do you have?
This has been the one that I've been going back and forth on the most, I would say, because I did pick Tampa Bay as my Super Bowl representative from the NFC. And, I think I am still confident enough on that prediction. But, and this is a big but, if you ask me. I think the Saints have a history on their side. They have the momentum in this matchup. The last time they played, they beat them 38-3. That was probably one of the most ugly blowouts we saw, if not the most ugly blowouts we saw this season, and it's between two playoff teams. If Tom Brady finds his rhythm, I'll take the Bucks, but I'm gonna go with the Saints at home. I think Alvin Kamara is gonna have a good game against a pretty weak Tampa Bay run defense. Latavius Murray is gonna have a good game as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw Taysom Hill get in some action as well as a runner. And Sean Payton is a better coach than Bruce Arians. If Sean Payton can make some of the right calls, I'm taking the Saints.
CJ, are you going Brady or Breeze?
Honestly, man, I mean, I'll be straight. Brady's done an excellent job in Tampa Bay. I mean, they've made the playoffs. They're looking extremely good. But man, I just cannot say no to the Saints, man. They have been so consistent for the past about 4 or 5 years now. It's like, dude, you're really gonna be bet against them, especially when they're at home. Nah, man, you got to take the Saints in this one, bro.
I think this is one of the toughest matchups. I think this is the toughest matchup to call. I hate betting against Brady in the playoffs. That's my one worry. But the thing that's going to make me pick the Saints is last week against the football team. I mean, Brady, yes, made a throw when he had to win the game late. But I think he underperformed and he was less than my expectations for him last week. Oh, I don't know. Tampa. I'm going to go Tampa.
Take it. Yeah, okay.
Someone has to pick Tampa. I'll pick Tampa.
I'm going to use the Nate Martin special on this one and go toss up like you did on the Rams Seahawks. If I'm leaning towards the Saints. I think it's just a bad matchup. I think the NFC, we talked about it last time around, the NFC is just all about matchups. Who are you going to match up against and who are you going to, because we all remember that Packers Bucks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a bad matchup for the Packers. Rams Seahawks is a bad matchup for the Seahawks. So this is a bad matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I want to say New Orleans. Actually, I'm not even going to go with Costa. I'm just going to go straight up. New Orleans takes this one. But regardless of what happens this weekend, all I can say is I think this is one of the best divisional. It seems like this every year, but I think this year more so than ever. Like it's one of the best.
It truly does feel like the 4 best teams in the league. The 8 best teams.
Yeah.
I feel like the Rams cemented themselves over the Seahawks as the best team in the NFC West. I feel like the Ravens are where they should have been last year. I feel like the Ravens team are realizing their potential. And obviously, the Browns have like a really bright future. If Baker Mayfield can just become like a top 12 quarterback, top 10 quarterback, they're a Super Bowl team. It's gonna be a great 2 days, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna be watching all 4 games.
Yeah, and I think Kiran said it last time. It just sticks to my mind every time. There's gonna be an upset, and I just can't wait to see what it is.
My upset's the Rams. CJ's is the Browns. Kieran's is the Bucks. We all have one upset besides Sunay because Sunay.
I pick the favorites. I just can't do it.
He's just boring. He'd be
I'm a casual.
He'd be a horrible gambler.
That's why I don't do it. Okay. Now let's switch gears a little bit to the NBA. Big trade happened 2 days ago. James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. He finally got his wish, and I have my reservations on James Harden, but I'll let you guys go first. Are the Nets championship contenders automatically? Are we going to write them in as the team that wins?
I don't think they're the team that wins, but I think they are definitely championship contenders. I think that's something we can all agree on. It's just a matter of, hey, can these three play together? Can Steve Nash figure out how to control all three of their egos? Can the bench unit step up after losing two key contributors in Levert and Allen? There's so many questions with this team, and I feel like I talked about this with Kiran on our radio show a couple days ago, and I said, the Nets are a high risk, high reward team. We saw them take a big risk in 2014 by bringing in an Asian Garnett and Paul Pierce. That obviously did not pan out, and they gave all of their draft picks to the Celtics. Now they're kind of in a similar situation, giving basically all their draft capital to the Rockets. And I personally think it's not going to work out. I'm not a big believer, mainly just because all three of these players are known for having massive egos and known for butting heads with coaches and known for just not being great teammates. So I don't think it's going to work out, unfortunately, for them. I think they're going to be pretty solid this year, conference championship team, but not working out.
I almost feel like I kind of want to disagree with Nate just a little bit, but I mean, we all basically know what's going to happen. Nash is either going to basically pull a Steve Kerr and manage to make these guys play together, which I'll be straight is doubtful because we basically know they all play ISO ball. Or he's pretty much just going to go, all right, we're going to have basically 3-man ISO strategy the entire year, which is doable. I mean, they do. And it's not like they don't have a bad team around them. I mean, they do have a little bit, aging DeAndre Jordan. They do have Landry Shamet, which actually surprised me. I didn't even know he was still playing. Dinwiddie at the guard. Jeff Green.
Joe Harris, like lockdown shooter.
They do? Oh, yeah, you're right. They do. Got the roster up in front of me. So it's not like they have a bad team. It's just the real one is going to be, can Nash manage to balance the egos enough where they can focus on winning the East and then the title and not on, hey, I'm trying to be the best guy on the team, which is why Kyrie left Cleveland. It's why Durant ended up leaving Golden State. It's why Harden, I'm a little still surprised that he left the Rockets. About that, he was kind of the guy. He still can't play defense, but who really cares? I mean, honestly, it's just going to be, can he balance the egos or are the egos just going to get in the way and the Nets aren't going to look as good as they should be?
Yeah, I think Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni have a very, very tall task ahead of them managing this locker room. I mean, okay, Harden and Kevin Durant have played together before in Oklahoma City. I know they're completely different players now, but I think they can work. But Kyrie Irving worries me so much. He goes into locker rooms, ruins them, and leaves. He did it in Boston. He did it in Cleveland, and I'm worried that's going to happen with the Nets.
Kyrie is like COVID-19, all right? Where you start off 2020, you're just like, this is going to be the year of our lives. This is going to be awesome. Kyrie comes in, the
Kyrie Irving gets
and ruins it all. And you're going to face the consequences for the next couple years, and then he just goes on to a new team.
I mean, actually, and one more worry actually on top of that is, do they even have enough? I mean, I'm assuming they have enough cap space, but dude, you're signing 3 basically max contract guys.
But they're all so good.
And they're all under contract. They're all under contract.
If Steve Nash can figure this out, this is going to be an insane basketball team.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not denying that. But this is the whole, now the Nets are looking and going, we have enough cap space technically, but is this going to bite us in the butt in like a couple of years if they want more money? Oh, there goes the bench. Sorry, guys. We have Harden, Kyrie, and Durant.
I think they're definitely going to lose their Spencer Dinwiddie for sure.
Yeah, Dinwiddie's gone.
Shamet probably going to get a nice contract once his year is up. So
Harris.
they'll get veterans to come play for them.
23. I like Shamet at only 23 to be a young piece in that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But they're not going to be able to bring it back. Money.
I'll say this. I think the Nets were the winners of the trade. I know we weren't really talking winners losers, but I think the Nets were big winners, not because they got Harden, but because they were able to retain Shamet, Dinwiddie, if he wants to resign, he's a player option next year, and Joe Harris. I thought one of the 3 were going to go with LeVert and
Yeah.
Allen. So
Yeah.
I'll just say this: James Harden. If you guys saw what Shaq said on NBA TNT and what people are saying, he did not. I was not impressed by his press conference yesterday. It's like he doesn't want to take on ownership and responsibility of himself. He said he did everything he could do. He did. I don't think he did that at all. He got everything he wanted in Houston. Yesterday, he said that he's an elite leader. You were not an elite leader a lot. The last 3 months in Houston, not an elite
Houston
teammate.
in general didn't show that he was an elite leader.
Yeah.
You couldn't rally the troops after getting a lead on the Warriors in the series. Then you choke that. Like, you're not a good leader for that.
Yeah, and they gave him everything he wanted. I mean, I just can't. There's a report out, and I love Daryl Morey. I think he's one of my favorite. He's probably top 3 favorite GM of mine. And people always tell me like, "Oh, Daryl Morey's so dumb. Why would you trade for Russell Westbrook in that contract and give away all that?" But reports are that James Harden threatened to leave the Rockets if he wouldn't get Russell Westbrook. He wanted to play with Russell Westbrook. So, I mean, it's just, at what point are you going to look at all 3 of these stars, including Kevin Durant, and say, listen, step up or shut up? And
I kind of switching the topics here. I think the Rockets are the winner in this trade. I think gaining Oladipo was big because Oladipo is having a great year, bouncing back from injuries, and he's obviously happy to be in Houston. He talked about how last year, and I think in the bubble, he was just like, "Hey, y'all got a spot for me on your team? Y'all got a spot for me on your team." He wasn't happy in Indiana. He's in Houston now. Good for him. You get so many draft picks. You got so much draft picks, and it's not like Durant's probably going to be, I think Kyrie's probably going to be out of the team in like 2 or 3 years. So that's one big contributor gone. Harden, if he can stay in shape, he's going to be good for at least 3 or 4 years. Kevin Durant, obviously his legs are an issue. He might be good for another 3 years max, but you're getting picks in like 2025, 2026. And I think we're approaching an era that will go down as the most talented in basketball history. This emphasis on AAU ball, these high schoolers that are coming out for national ranks, national spotlight as well. I think that's just going to help I think that's going to make the league a lot better, a better of a league, competitively, and just a market in general. And if Brooklyn's not going to have any of those picks for a major market team, it's not looking good. Houston's going to be able to bring a lot of young stars. Plus, combine that with Christian Wood, who's having an all-star season.
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah. Houston, I love what they did. Like, they built for the future. They tried to win now with they had Harden. They tried to bring in Paul and win now, didn't work. They tried to bring in Westbrook, didn't work. And so they said, let's blow it up. But they're not fully rebuilding because they have Oladipo, they have Wood, and they have just stocked up draft picks for 4 years. Like, that no probably going to be a bad.
I disagree with both. I think Houston didn't win, and I'm being very nitpicky here, okay? I'm that type of person to either go all in or all out. I don't like it if my franchise doesn't have a superstar, and let's be real. Christian Wood is good. He's the best player on that team, but he's not a superstar yet. John Wall is good. His prime is past him. Oladipo is good. I would have rather had LeVert because I think we've seen the ceiling of Oladipo. I think he's an all-star, nothing more. And he's like a good 2, maybe 3, third piece. I would have rather kept Karis LeVert on my team and seen what he is. He's, when he has had his own team and had the ball more, his usage rate is up.
Isn't his nickname Baby KD or something like that? Baby Durant?
Oh, yeah, something like that. I remember that. Yeah. So I would have rather kept him. And also, this is like Houston's done this for years where they just been like solid, either not good enough or really good, but not good enough to make the finals, or like solid enough to like be like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed. Because you remember all those years with Tracy McGrady, Kevin Martin, Kyle Lowry when he was with the Rockets, like they were like just decent enough. I would rather tank or just be a championship team. I do not like the middle there. So that's what I think.
you
I don't
can-
know if CJ, do you agree with me?
I think they're taking the Boston Celtics rebuilding route. They you remember when Boston, brought in Kyrie, brought in Gordon Hayward, guys that are big names, but got injured or had like some other issues with them, but then also had a bunch of draft picks. They were like a lot of those draft picks did work out. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, all of those guys. Combined with some veteran players that were in their primes or past their primes, and I think Rockets are taking that Boston route or the Philly route, and I also really like their coach Stephen Silas. I really like him as a coach. Players seem to like him as well, so that's obviously a big plus.
I mean, actually, if you look at the Nets roster too, most of their guys are only in like their first 2-3 years of playing. They got a bunch of rookies, a bunch of first-year guys, a bunch of second-year guys. So actually, you can see the Nets actually doing what Nate said, and it's kind of like, hey, we're just gonna get these guys ready. We're gonna
Rockets.
No, the Nets.
The Nets have young players too.
Yeah, all their guys are young. Basically, Durant, Harden, and Kyrie and DeAndre are their oldest guys. Everyone else is basically first 2-3 years.
But the only picks they have are going to be the Rockets picks. That if some of these young guys like Wood pan out, and the Rockets probably I don't think the Rockets are a playoff team right now. I think they're probably gonna have a lottery pick this year. Nets might be a lottery pick this year as well if it continues going the way that it is. So if you have 2 lottery picks, and in my opinion the most talented draft class we have seen since 2003, it's gonna be a recipe. It's a nice little recipe they got brewing down in Houston.
Well, I guess time will only tell on that, man. I mean, seriously, you don't really know until it happens.
That's fair.
Shout out to Bob Myers for locking down Timberwolves.
I know this is when I'm very grateful to be a Warriors fan, because all of these players, like Kyrie, Harden, KD, all of them are just flipping around teams, switch, big egos, letting them get away in the basketball. Warriors have managed to keep their 3 stars in the Bay for a decade and more.
Yeah.
I think all 3. I think Steph's gonna retire a Warrior. I think Clay's gonna retire a Warrior. Maybe they trade Draymond, but I highly doubt it. I think Dre's gonna retire as a Warrior, and that's gonna be such a great day. That's gonna be awesome.
I dread that day, but I also want to see that. I mean, it's just gonna be very emotional. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll also ask you guys quickly, CJ and Kiran. To end things here, I know we haven't talked a lot about the MLB since the Dodgers won, but Yankees made some big moves. Phillies offered $100 million JT Realmuto. CJ, I ask you first. You think JT's going to resign?
It really just depends. I mean, the Phillies have a good team. I think it honestly is just going to be JT sitting down and looking himself in the face and going, do I get my best opportunity in Philly, or do I have to move on? It really just depends. Players are weird, man. I mean, honestly, I'm still playing, and I can even tell you we're weird. You meet us, so it's like, well, what are we going to do? It's like, well, we got the contract offer to stay in Philadelphia where the fans hate us, but dang, this team's actually pretty good. Or we got the chance to move on where maybe the team isn't as good, but the fans won't want to kill me. Well, where will I make more money, and what do I think will get me the most rings? I have no idea. Let me go talk to my agent about this, who's really not going to care because he's just getting paid no matter what the offer is.
Kiran, your favorite team, the Yankees. 2 big moves. What do you think?
I don't love either of them, but I don't hate either of them. DJ LeMahieu is 32 years old. So are we going to want DJ LeMahieu at 38 years old? I'm not sure. 6 years is a long time. 6 years is a long time for an aging second baseman. He's very good, and he's going to be very, very good for the first 4 years. And I would have liked them to sign him for 4 years. Kluber is also very old and has not. He was an all-star pitcher in Cleveland 3 years ago, was injury plagued 2 years ago, got traded to the Rangers on his 5th pitch. He was the opening day starter. On his 5th pitch, he got injured. So he has not played a full season in 3 years and hasn't pitched in an MLB game when the season starts in 1.5 years. And that really worries me. We lose Tanaka. But Kluber for 1 year, I'm fine with that. DJ, great signing. I think we're a championship contender for the next 4 years.
Funny.
I
on paper.
100%
You're gonna find a way to
believe
choke. Y'all are gonna find a way to choke. I'm just saying.
Judge, we also re-signed Judge to avoid arbitration, which was huge. We have no cap space, but that's not a problem.
Wow, the
because
Yankees no cap space. That is wild. I always feel like they find some way find money.
But
to
here's the problem.
sign, like Garrett
we
Cole,
have so much money,
$300
we're just gonna pay the luxury tax and like sign another star player. So
Oh,
cap
so
space
you're
not
on
a
the Warriors
problem.
That's a
route.
Yankee
You're going the
move right
Warriors
there.
route. I respect that.
Only to lose in the ALCS again.
Oof, pain.
All right,
I'll-
so that was a little bit of sports sit down OT. Extra stuff. We actually covered all three major leagues. I'm glad we got to talk about the MLB.
When was the last time we did that?
I don't know. It's always
In the
tightly
studio.
packed on this show, but we're glad we could do it. Divisional round this weekend, and we'll come back and see what happens after. Because I'm sure I think I might be in the worst position here to maybe go like 2-2 or something. Some of you guys have upsets picked out, so we'll see what happens. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and see you guys next time. For Nate, CJ, Kiran, I'm Sunay Sanghani signing out. Take care.